Dominik's two girlfriends storyline script. WWE just turned Dominik Mysterio into a walking telenovela by having both Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez fighting over him on SmackDown. And if you think this love triangle nonsense is good storytelling for two of the most talented women on the roster, you need to explain to me how reducing Liv and Roxanne to jealous girlfriends competing for Dirty Dom's attention does anything except waste their potential and insult the intelligence of everyone watching. Friday Night SmackDown just gave us the most eye-rolling, groan-inducing storyline of 2025. Dominik Mysterio, the chicken shit heel who can barely win matches without help, who's been positioned as an annoying pest rather than a credible threat, now somehow has two of WWE's top women fighting over him. Liv Morgan, the former SmackDown Women's Champion who should be chasing gold, is apparently in a relationship with Dom. And Roxanne Perez, one of NXT's brightest stars recently called up to the main roster, has also decided Dominik's irresistible. Because nothing says strong women's division like having talented wrestlers reduced to romantic subplots centered around a male performer. Let me break down what happened because the cringe needs to be documented. Dominik's backstage getting ready for his match when Liv Morgan walks up, all smiles, clearly in couple mode with Dom. They're being affectionate, nothing explicit, but the romantic connection is obvious. Liv's talking about supporting Dom at ringside during his match, being the good girlfriend, all that standard wrestling couple stuff. Then Roxanne Perez appears. She walks up to Dom and Liv, and there's immediate tension. Roxanne's not backing down. She gets close to Dominik, touches his arm, and says something like, "I thought we were hanging out after the show, Dom." Dominik looks like a deer in headlights. Liv's face goes from happy to furious in about 2 seconds. And we're off to the races with tired love triangle drama that belongs in a soap opera, not a wrestling show. Here's my first question: is this storyline insulting to Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez as performers, or is it just entertainment? Drop your honest take in the comments. Liv immediately confronts Roxanne. "Excuse me? Dom and I are together. Whatever you think is happening, isn't." Roxanne fires back, "That's not what Dom told me last week. Maybe you should ask your boyfriend why he's been texting me." Classic soap opera dialogue that would make even the writers of Days of Our Lives cringe. Dominik, to absolutely nobody's surprise, doesn't clear things up. He doesn't firmly tell one of them that there's nothing between them. He doesn't choose. He just stammers and tries to play both sides, which makes him look even more pathetic than usual. "Look, can we talk about this later? I have a match to focus on." Coward's way out. Peak Dominik Mysterio energy. But Liv and Roxanne aren't done. Their argument escalates. They're getting in each other's faces. Other wrestlers and crew members are watching. It's becoming a scene. And then because WWE can't help themselves, they start shoving each other. Within seconds, they're brawling in the hallway. Not a competitive wrestling exchange, but a catfight over a man. Security has to separate them while Dominik just stands there looking useless. Quick poll: should talented women wrestlers ever be in storylines fighting over male wrestlers? Sound off below. Let's address the elephant in the room. This storyline is problematic on multiple levels. First, it reduces two incredibly talented women to love interests fighting over a male character who's positioned as a cowardly heel. Liv Morgan has main event pay-per-views. She's been champion. She's proven she can carry storylines on her own. Why is she now defined by her relationship with Dominik Mysterio? Roxanne Perez was the face of NXT's women's division. She had incredible matches, compelling character work, and was positioned as a future star. Her main roster debut should be about her in-ring ability and championship aspirations. Instead, she's immediately thrown into a love triangle with Dominik Mysterio. That's not a debut, that's a demotion disguised as a storyline. Second, this perpetuates the outdated idea that women in wrestling need to be connected to men to be relevant. We've spent years fighting against this trope. The women's revolution was supposed to be about women standing on their own merit, having their own feuds based on competition and championships, not romantic drama. This storyline takes us backward. Third, it makes no sense from a character perspective. Why would either Liv or Roxanne be attracted to Dominik? He's presented as an annoying, whiny, cowardly heel who loses most of his matches. He's not positioned as cool or desirable. He's positioned as a pest. So what's the appeal? WWE hasn't given us a reason why these two strong, successful women would fight over this guy specifically. Real question: does this storyline damage the women's division more than it helps Dominik as a character? Let me know your thoughts. The fan reaction has been overwhelmingly negative, and rightfully so. Social media is flooded with people calling this storyline sexist, outdated, and insulting. Wrestling fans have been vocal about wanting better for women wrestlers, and WWE keeps going back to romantic drama as a crutch. Twitter's trending with people mocking the storyline. Reddit's tearing it apart. Even casual fans seem confused about why this is happening. But here's the uncomfortable truth: WWE probably thinks this works. They probably see the engagement, see people talking about it, and consider that a success. Any attention is good attention is a philosophy WWE's operated under for decades, but there's a difference between engagement and approval. People aren't talking about this because they love it, they're talking about it because they hate it. Let me try to steelman the defense of this storyline because fairness matters. Maybe WWE's plan is to use this as a catalyst for a feud between Liv and Roxanne that eventually drops Dominik entirely. The love triangle is just the setup, and the real story is two women who realize they're both being played and turn their anger toward DOM instead of each other. That could work. That would actually be good storytelling, using a problematic setup to deliver a satisfying payoff where the women reclaim agency. Or maybe this is designed to get heat on Dominik as the heel who's manipulating two women, making him look even more despicable by playing them against each other. That's heel work, technically, but it still requires reducing Liv and Roxanne to props in Dominik's story rather than having their own narratives. Or maybe in this is a stretch, WWE thinks Dominik needs character development beyond just being annoying, and giving him a complicated love life adds dimension. But if that's the goal, it's being executed poorly because Dominik doesn't look suave or interesting. He looks like a coward who can't handle the situation he's created. Who should Dominik end up with, Liv, Roxanne, or neither, because he doesn't deserve either? Give me your pick in the comments. The match implications are interesting at least. Liv and Roxanne are going to have to face each other eventually, and their in-ring work will probably be excellent because they're both great wrestlers. If WWE gives them time and freedom to have a genuinely competitive match, that could salvage something from this mess. But if the match is full of Dominik interference and soap opera nonsense, it'll be a waste of their talents. The Judgment Day connection adds complexity. Dominik's part of Judgment Day, and Liv's been associated with the group. Does this love triangle create friction within the faction? Does Finn Balor or Damian Priest have opinions about their stablemates' relationship drama? Or do they just ignore it because they have actual important storylines? Roxanne's position in all this is particularly frustrating. She's new to the main roster. First impressions matter enormously. WWE chose to introduce her to the SmackDown audience as the other woman in a love triangle. Not as a championship contender. Not as a rising star. But as romantic competition for Liv Morgan over Dominik Mysterio. That's character assassination before her character even gets established. The historical context matters. WWE's done love triangle storylines before. Some worked. Edge/Lita/Matt Hardy had real-life elements that made it compelling despite being messy. Most didn't. AJ Lee/Daniel Bryan/Kane was awkward and pointless. The common thread in failed love triangles is that the women involved lose character agency and become defined solely by the romance rather than their own goals and motivations. Should WWE just scrap this storyline immediately, or see it through to the end? This is important. Share your opinion. Let's talk about what should be happening instead. Liv Morgan should be feuding for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Her history with Rhea Ripley creates compelling storylines. Her championship experience makes her a credible title contender. She doesn't need Dominik, she needs meaningful feuds that showcase her ability. Roxanne Perez should be positioned as a championship threat immediately upon debuting. Have her win matches impressively. Have her call out the champion. Have her prove she belongs on the main roster through her in-ring work. Build her as a star on her own merit, not as someone's girlfriend or romantic rival. Dominik Mysterio should be involved in storylines that build his credibility as a heel. Feud with mid-card babyfaces. Cheat to win matches. Slowly improve so he's not just a joke. Give him character development that doesn't require using women as props. It's not complicated. The promo work coming out of this will be crucial. If WWE has Liv and Roxanne cutting promos that are only about their relationship with DOM, that's a waste. But if they're allowed to talk about their careers, their ambitions, and what they want to accomplish, with the Dominik situation being secondary, that's better. Still not ideal, but better than pure soap opera. The women's locker room's reaction to this storyline would be fascinating to know. Wrestlers are professionals who do what they're told, but that doesn't mean they're happy about every creative decision. Liv and Roxanne are probably making the best of a bad situation, trying to add depth and nuance to characters that are being written one-dimensionally. Rate this storyline on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being brilliant. Drop your rating in the comments. The bigger issue is what this says about WWE's view of their women's division. They've made so much progress. Women's WrestleMania main events. Equal pay. Prominent positioning on cards. But then they do storylines like this that feel like they're from a different era, and it makes you wonder if the progress is real or just performative. WWE has incredible women wrestlers. They have depth in the division. They have compelling characters who can carry feuds without needing romantic subplots. So why default to this tired trope? Is it laziness? Is it because they think it gets reactions? Is it because they don't trust women to carry storylines without male involvement? The resolution of this storyline will determine whether it was just a speed bump or genuine damage to the division. Best case scenario, Liv and Roxanne quickly realize Dominik's playing them, they team up to destroy him, and then they have a clean competitive feud based on mutual respect but conflicting ambitions. That could work. That could even be good. Worst case scenario, this drags on for months with repetitive segments of them fighting over DOM, the matches between them are filled with interference and non-finishes, and eventually one wins Dominik like he's a prize, validating the whole problematic premise. That would be a disaster for everyone involved. The Rhea Ripley factor is worth considering. Rhea and Dominik had that whole storyline before. Is Rhea going to comment on this? Is she going to warn Liv or Roxanne that Dom's not worth it? That could add an interesting layer. The woman who's seen Dominik's true colors trying to save others from making her mistakes. Final question, will this storyline end with Liv and Roxanne becoming friends who team up against DOM, or will they remain rivals? Share your prediction in the comments. WWE turned Dominik Mysterio into the center of a love triangle between Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez, and it's exactly as bad as it sounds. Two talented women reduced to fighting over a man who's presented as a cowardly, undeserving heel. A storyline that belongs in daytime television, not a wrestling show. A complete waste of Liv's experience and Roxanne's potential. But storylines can be saved with proper execution. If WWE recognizes the problems and pivots toward giving Liv and Roxanne agency, toward making this about them rather than DOM, toward having them reclaim their narratives, it's salvageable. Not great, but salvageable. If WWE doubles down on the soap opera drama, if they keep Liv and Roxanne defined solely by their relationship to Dominik, if the resolution involves one of them winning him, that's when this becomes irredeemable. That's when we have to seriously question WWE's commitment to their women's division. Liv Morgan deserves better. Roxanne Perez deserves better. The women's division deserves better. And fans who've invested in these performers' careers deserve storytelling that respects their intelligence and the wrestlers' abilities. Dominik Mysterio has two girlfriends now, apparently. The real question is, when will WWE realize that women wrestlers don't need to be anybody's girlfriend to be compelling characters? When will they learn that the best women's storylines are about competition, championships, and personal rivalries that have nothing to do with romance? Until then, we're stuck with love triangles, catfights, and wasted potential. And that's the real tragedy of this entire storyline.